Hello, welcome, and thank you for joining me. As the protests continue across the United States, that question is often asked: how close are we to the cherished ideal to racial equality? Now, when you ponder that question, parents here in the town of Oyster Bay continue to protest. This time, they're asking school districts to consider to develop a curriculum that explores and teaches Black history. One young lady here in the school district says that she's learned so much during the protest about the discarded American history that she's asking school districts now to rewrite their lesson plans. As Ariana Chetron watched the protests sweep across communities, it made her realize that her schools painted a woefully incomplete picture of American history for her and her peers.
We read books and we don't learn anything about Black and brown culture.
That was a reaction.
Ariana and a group of protesters here in Oyster Bay are demanding change.
You have to teach the burning of a Black Wall Street.
Advocating for curriculum changes.
But there's a lot of people who just don't get it because it's embedded.
And the hiring of teachers of color who will teach Black history in a culturally responsive way.
I learned just the other day about Juneteenth. I learned just the other day about the bombing on Black Wall Street. I had no idea what that was. And the fact that I found that out a couple months ago, it's so like I just got goosebumps. Like it's ridiculous, you know?
We want the schools to start changing their programs. We want areas where kids can feel safe, that they can talk to people when they're people of color. We want to make sure stuff is being equal, especially in Oyster Bay with the history of slavery that it has. We should be the forefront of leading Nassau and Long Island of all this stuff.
Robin Chetron is a vice president of the Oyster Bay Chamber of Commerce in a mostly non-minority community. His daughter, Ariana, is the creator of Power in Noise, a platform for students to speak up about racial inequities and the need for diversity.
I realized there needed to be a way for students to speak out and have a voice and feel not alone in these small communities. And people don't know what's going on, and they need to be educated on it.
Robin Chetron says that his children and children in the school district are taught by omission that Black history is less significant. He says that he will keep pressure on the school administrators until they recognize that changes in the curriculum need to be made.
Because what happens is when weeks go by and you watch the news, you start getting numb to it. And when you hear something's being done that might fix something, all of a sudden people pull back and they think that everything is being fixed. But that's not being fixed. We got to put pressure because they start getting lackadaisical. We don't want that.
Yeah, it's a concern, but if only...
In the United States, there is no federal requirement for teaching Black history in its school curriculum, and only a few states have mandated it. Robin Chetron says that he and the parents here in the town of Oyster Bay will continue to have dialogue with the school superintendents and administrators about changing its curriculum and racial injustices.